Okay, let's start the meeting. But first of all, something that I was told to mention is that the research experience for undergraduates program is accepting applications. It's basically like a summer internship where you do research for the security of Internet of Things devices. I put a link on the resources tab of dsuprog.club, and it has more information there. Yeah, that's that. So, today's meeting, we're gonna make a Discord bot. So, to start off, you should probably start downloading Node.js. I added a link on the slides, which are also at dsuprog.club. And while you start downloading that, a Discord bot, what's that? Well, if you've ever used the service known as Discord, it's a messaging application. If you don't have that, you should make an account now also for that. But a Discord bot basically uses Discord's API to be able to act like a user, but it's just running a bunch of code behind the scenes saying if this person sends this message or gets banned or does whatever, then do all this stuff. And that's what we're going to be doing. And we're going to be making it do a game of Wordle, which is a word game if you haven't heard of it, which you probably have because it's everywhere over the past few weeks. So yeah, while the other things are downloading, you should open Discord because you gotta have a Discord server to run it on, and you probably shouldn't run it on an already existing server in case there are bugs that make it send a whole bunch of messages to everyone. So on the server list in the bottom left hand corner, click add a server, create my own for me and my friends, and then give it any name. I'll call this one Wordle. And you can upload a picture if you want. I had a picture in here somewhere. Oh well. But at the end of the slides here, I added an icon you can download if you really want a picture. Let's see. So yeah, once this pops up, the server is done. It exists now, and you don't really need to do anything else with that part of it for now. And we can get to setting up the bot itself. So if you go to discord.com/developers/applications, it'll have this here, or you'll have to log in, and if you log in, then it'll send you to the default Discord page, so you just gotta click the link again, and it'll send you to this page. And in here, you click New Application in the top right, give it a name, and then click Create. And I'm gonna download that icon. Now it has a profile picture. You can give it a description and tags and stuff, but that's not necessary. What is necessary is to go on the left here down to the bot tab. Wait, gotta save changes. Then to the bot tab, and then add bot. Yes, do it. A wild bot has appeared. Then you gotta give it permissions, make it known what it is allowed and not allowed to do. So you click on OAuth 2 and then down to URL generator below that. And we're gonna click on bot, and then under bot permissions we're gonna do basically all of these, even though we're not gonna use all of them. It's simpler this way. And then on general permissions, view channels is one that is needed right here.
That's definitely in here and not my own. How do you go to make a bot again?
To make a bot, you go to discord.com/developers/applications. You click on...
There you go.
Okay. So then, once you've clicked on all this stuff, and you can like curate this if you really know what you want your bot to do and not do. But once you have these ones clicked, or most of them, it'll generate a URL down here. We want to copy this and paste it into a new tab. And then select our server to add it to. And then we just set these permissions, so we don't necessarily need to read them. We know what they are. And click authorize. And yes, I am human. That's proof right there. So now the bot is on the server, but it does not know what to do. If you look over here, it's offline. But it has joined the party, so to speak. So at this point, has Node.js downloaded for you guys? Has it not downloaded for any individual person? I'll take that as a no. So let's start with getting that set up. If you open a command prompt or equivalent for your operating system, and then find a good folder. Now, we've got Node.js installed, but there are a few things we need to install within it to do what we need to do here. And Node.js uses a thing called Npm, which is the Node Package Manager. It's basically like the whole apt install whatever, but for Node specifically. So we need to run a couple of Npm Install Commands. The first one is dotenv, and I'll explain what that does later. Oh yeah, I should. How do I do that? There. So, if you didn't see, that's npm install.env, dotenv. And then the other one is discord.js. And this is a library that has a whole bunch of functions that call the Discord API that basically make it a lot easier to write a bot that does stuff. Is that not working for anyone? Okay. So a little bit about discord.js. On the last slide here, I've got the resources listed. There's the documentation, which you kind of want to know a little bit about what you're doing to read this. There's also a guide where you can just kind of discover stuff, how to do things, and they've got basically little tutorials if you find yourself wanting to do more stuff with Discord bots later. Like if you want to add a button, there's stuff here that says how to add buttons to your messages that it sends. But yeah, that's these two right here. But now, if everyone has all the stuff installed, we can go over to the folder that we put the stuff in. Well, actually, we didn't put anything in it yet. We just navigated to it in the command prompt. But we can go over to that folder and add a file. And this file can be named basically anything.js. We're going to go with app.js. And I'm going to use VS Code to edit it. Okay, so we've got a file called app.js. I'm just gonna quickly go through the most basic Discord bot that you can make. So first, we're gonna do const discord equals require discord.js. What this line does is it basically just imports our discord.js library. And actually, I'm gonna change this. It's basically the same thing, but replace Discord with client, comma, intents in brackets. The other way, it imports the Discord library as Discord, but what this does, it's basically a shortcut to say that Discord will be an object that includes client and intents. And that way I can just, instead of doing discord.client.whatever, I can just do client.whatever. And apparently autocomplete will add stuff to there. So we've got Discord. We need to give it a client. And this is basically just, we create a client, and that's basically our bot is that client. Like, you've got the client and the server. The Discord bot client is interacting with the Discord server as if it were a regular user and not a bot. So const client equals new client. And then in parentheses, in brackets, this is a weird thing that's relatively new to Discord bot writing, and I don't fully understand it, but it's basically you need to give it a list of things that it's allowed to do, or not necessarily allowed to do, but a list of things that it's going to do, because then it knows what messages to take in. And for now, you can just know that this is what it needs to be for this specific project. But if you need it to do more things, if you decide to like add on to this, I added a list of intents that say what all the different things it does are below it. So if you find yourself not able to do something, you might need to add an intent. For example, if you're trying to ban someone via the bot, you might need to add guild_bans to that list. But yeah, this basically creates a client and it passes in an object that has a list of these intents. You can pass in other stuff, but it's not necessary for this. The next thing is we need to give it something to do, and the way it does this is with callbacks, where it basically just says, I'm going to create a function, and I want that function to happen whenever you say that a certain thing has happened. So that's client.on, and then it takes two parameters. The first is a text string that says what you want to have happened. In this case, we want a message to have happened. And the second thing is the function that it calls anytime that thing has happened. And the way this is done in JavaScript when you're doing it like this is with something like this. You take in the parameters either just as empty parentheses if there are no parameters, or if there are, which there are for the message callback, you give it either one parameter or the whatever, but in this case it's just the message. Then you make a little arrow with an equals sign greater than, and then curly braces that you put the actual code into. So something that's pretty useful to have to make sure it's not getting into an infinite loop with either itself or another bot. We check to see if the author of the message is a bot, and if they are, just exit out of this. We don't want to deal with that. But if they aren't a bot, then let's just reply hello to everything that it sends, that anyone sends that isn't a bot, as our test. Just message.reply. That's a function built in discord.js. It'll send a message to the same channel that's sent to the person that sent the message. Now this is basically everything, but there's one more thing. We need to get it to know what we need to connect this to the bot, essentially. And the way you do that is with client.login, and we give this a token. And that token, if we go back over to the /developers/applications, and then go into general information, I think. No, it might be in the bot tab. Let's see. Oh yeah, it's in the bot tab. It says token here. You want to click copy on there. And we could just paste this directly into here, but that's not what people want you to do for security reasons. So we're gonna make use of the .env functionality that we added via the npm install. So let's add another require up here to say that we're gonna use .env. Oops. And then we just want to run the config of that, so we just put .config after that, and that's the equivalent of saying like const.env equals require .env .env.config. It's the equivalent of doing that, but it's shorter. So we're running config from there to say, hey, update our .env config. But what is that? It is basically, we create a new file in the same directory as our app.js. We call it .env with an actual dot this time. And then in that file, we want to say token equals, and this can be anything, but later we'll be calling it, I'll be referring to it as token, so you should probably set it to token. Then put some parentheses there, and then paste in the token that we copied earlier. And so this is what that file should look like. Once it looks like this, it's entirely done. We don't need to deal with that anymore. We can just go back over to app.js. And once we have the way we access that token is we go to process.env.token, because the token is now in our environment variables, which is process.env, and it's in there as token, all caps, because that's what we called it in here. And if you do it this way, it's apparently more secure. But the other clubs would be able to tell you more about that. Okay, so now we have a bot that ideally, when it sees a message in our channel, or in our server, in any channel, it'll reply with hello. So let's see if that's what happened by opening up the command prompt in our folder and typing node app.js. And that'll start that running, and hopefully, if you go over to the server, you'll see that WordleBot is now online. And if we type a message in general, like hello WordleBot, nice to meet you, it'll reply with hello. But it's not very smart yet. So has everyone gotten to this point that's following along? Okay. So let's kill that process there and add some more stuff to this. So the way Wordle works is it needs a list of words. And I happen to have a list of words that I manually curated when I was trying to make crossword puzzles. So that's pretty convenient. So if you go over to the resources slide, you've got 5-letter words. Yeah?
So if you wanted to, on the actual Wordle website in their source code, it
Yeah.
their list of words that they use.
Yeah, you can copy from there also. And they've actually got 2 lists of words, one for guesses and one for things that can be the answer. So that way there's not an obscure answer, but you can still give a guess that's obscure. We're not going to do that. We're just going to use one list. In this case, 5-letter words.txt, or you can use your own or Wordle's or something else. It's surprisingly hard to find word lists, partially because people who make crossword puzzles are very secretive, which I learned while trying to make crossword puzzles. So yeah, we've got this big list. You can just copy this and paste it into a document, and put that in the same folder as everything else. from here. And then save that. And then we're gonna add in another require statement here because we're gonna use Node's file system manager thingy, which is called fs. So let's add const fs equals require fs. And then above where, let's see, above the login, but, well, actually, let's just do it above all this. We're gonna create an empty array called word list. And we're gonna call fs's read file command, which literally just reads the entire file into a string, which if we had a long enough word list would be a problem, but apparently 3,000 lines is fine. 5-letter words.txt. The next parameter is the file format, whatever. It's usually UTF-8, but depending on how you wrote the file, it might technically be different. And then we're gonna say what to do once it has, once it's read the file, because it's gonna take a while. So we need to, if we do anything with this, we need to do it within a callback, which is just a function that calls once it's done running. So we do the same thing as down here, where we do the parameters, then the arrow, then the curly braces. In this case, we have error and data. And if there's an error, we just console.error, error, and that'll just tell us there's an error. And then we don't do the rest of this. But if there isn't, we just set the word list to be equal to the data.split, which is a regular JavaScript function that splits up a string by a character, and that character is going to be new lines. So we've got a list of words now. Let's actually do something with those words. I'm gonna set up an object that we might not actually fill out with everything by the time we're done with this, but better to be prepared than not prepared. Just gonna have some variables we might need. One being whether or not the game is running, another being what the current word is. Let's set a default one so we know if it's doing stuff it doesn't want to. And then let's have an array of what people have guessed. Let's see. Now let's actually write some Wordle-related code. I'm going to create a function called getAccuracyString. It's going to take in a word and a guess. And this will take in what the word is, what you're guessing, and it's going to give out a string to print out that's a bunch of boxes based on how Discord does stuff. So let's start by setting up a string to add stuff to. an empty string. And then let's loop through each letter of the guess. Yeah. Conveniently, we know they're all going to be 5 letters long. And then, if they're the same, it's going to be a green square. So we're going to append to the string :green underscore square : and that's Discord's way of doing emojis, in this case a green square. Oops. But if it's not a green square, then we need to set up another for loop that loops through all of the letters in Word to see if it's in there. And there's a little bit of extra logic in there to make sure that double letters work out the way that they do in Wordle. It's basically just going to check, is this letter in there and not being counted as true? Or not being counted as green, I should say. So I'm setting a variable so that I can check to see if I set it to yellow or not later down the line. But if guess I is equal to word j, if the letters are the same at the pairing, and guess j is not equal to word j, so if that letter wasn't already counted as green, oops, in that instance we set yellow to true if that applies for any of the letters. And then after the for loop we check to see if it did. So if yellow, then we're gonna do accuracy string plus equals yellow square. Don't forget the colons. And then if it's not yellow, we're going to use a black square because they don't have light gray. And for some reason, the black and white squares have sizes, so this is black large square. Then at the end of this function, we'll just return the accuracy string that we made. So does everyone have this down? Okay, I'm scrolling down. So the way we want to use this is, for now, let's just consider any 5-letter word put in the chat to be a guess at what the word is, and we'll just push back the string of how correct it is. So at the start, what we want to do there. So actually, let's scroll back up to where we're reading in the file, and I should probably move current game to above here because we're going to be using it in the read file function. After we get the word list, we're going to want to choose a word. So let's say current game.word equals word list, and use a random function, or it's going to be math.floor math.random times the length of the word list, which is word list.length. And that'll pick a random integer between 0 and 1 minus the length of the word list. So it'll just choose a word at random. Let's see. Okay, so now we have all the stuff we need to get it to do something. So let's check if the message dot length is equal to 5. That's all we're gonna do for now to make sure that it's actually a guess. In that instance, we're gonna reply with the accuracy string of current game.word, and the guess will be message.content, which is just the string of the message, and .to uppercase, because we're literally comparing the characters, and we want people to be able to guess in lowercase if they want to. So we'll convert that right here. And if we did that right, then this should, if we run it again with node app.js, if I say hello, oh, message.content.length. Message doesn't have a length, but the content of the message does. Wait. Let's try that again. And apparently there's an E here. And 2 S's. I probably should have had it print out what the word was, but anybody want to give the next guess? I'll guess seeds. Okay, so something's wrong with this code. I'm comparing it to my notes.
Can you go over how to run it again?
Yeah, you just type node app.js. Well, to debug this, let's console.log the current word. And you don't have to follow along with this part. Okay, so it's depth. It seems like it's working, but that other one didn't make sense. Wait. Yeah, there's just something wrong with my logic of double letters. But it's fine. You can fix that as a project if you want to. Make it so that if you type in a double letter and it has one of those letters, but they're both yellow, but they're both in the wrong spot, that it'll only use one of them. That's something else you could add. But yeah, this is basically working, other than that. So now, real quick to finish this up, there's not too much else to do. The first thing we can do is in the onMessage function, we can give something that starts the game. We can say Wordle start, for example. We can say if you type in Wordle start, that it'll start the game. So current game dot running equals true. And we can do and current game dot running here. And then we can move down where it selects the word from where it reads in the file to when it actually starts the game. And then when it gets in a message and the game is running, we'll make it add it to the list of guesses. So we'll call the push function. And we'll push message.content.toUppercase. And then we can display all the squares of all the guesses. So we're going to need to loop through. Not int. And we're going to say, let's have a string at the start here. Let's call it output. Make it empty to start with. And let's actually print the guess above each of the strings. It won't be very pretty, but there's prettier ways to do it. Output plus equals current game dot guesses I. Output plus equals new line, and output plus equals get accuracy string of the word and the guess. So now it'll show all of those. One way you could make this prettier is replace this with adding in the emojis that have letters in them. But that'd take a bit of time to get running. But yeah, so we're printing out all of those. The only things we have left are the win and fail states. So the fail state is well, let's start with the win state because that one needs to be processed first. So if the accuracy string of the last guess Length -1. If the accuracy string of the last guess is equal to a bunch of green squares, so I'm gonna copy green square here and paste it 5 times. In that case, what we're gonna do is let's just add a you win message to it. Oh, I forgot we need another new line below the accuracy string. So let's just output you win with a new line after it. And then maybe say what the word was again. Current game.word. And then another new line. Well, no, we don't need that because Discord doesn't need new lines at the very end of the message you send. Okay, so we've got the win state, ideally, if the code works. We need the fail state, which is the length of the guesses is equal to 6 and the win state hasn't been reached. We should probably also set current game.running to be false in both of these instances. So if the length of the guesses is equal to 6, output plus equals you lose. And then we can copy the rest of this. And I think that should work. So if we Control C and then run it again, and then hop on over to the Discord, if we just type in hello again, it shouldn't work because we haven't started the game. But if we type Wordle start and then type hello, we can see that there's an E somewhere. Yeah, okay. Maybe. No, wait. No, it should still be running. Let's see. If message.length. Let's add in some debugs. Again. Not running. Okay. And where did it hit that? Oh, I forgot to set the output over here to not be what it was before and instead be what we made over here. That might give us more information. Nope. Oh, wait. Still did it wrong. Okay. Where do we start? Okay. We won because the word was fluid and we guessed hello. Current game dot word is equal to. Oh. I need to move this condition outside of here. There. For some reason, it was just passing in true as the guess. Yeah. So if get accuracy string of all this is equal to green square, green square, green. Now it should work, so I'm gonna remove the else ifs. And whoops, wrong thing. Wordle start. Hello. Hello. That's not good. Yeah. I'm just gonna check one thing real quick. Oh. This should be the last thing. For real this time. Output plus equals on there. Because we were just calling the function and not using the output beforehand. Now we're actually using the output. So if we type in hello, whoops, if we type in Wordle start, and then we type in hello, now it does this. Now if we do break, slate, S something L S yeah, SOL something E. You win. The word was solve. Good job. That concludes the meeting.